Well, let's go from Western Conference to Eastern Conference then and chat the departure of Julian Carranza over to the Netherlands with Feyenoord. Originally an Inter Miami expansion season signing, he was brought into the Union when Miami were trying to get cap compliant after their fiasco, for lack of a better term. He was brought in originally on loan. Then they traded for him for basically a bag of balls. And 37 goals, 15 assists later, he's one of the Union's best ever attacker, third highest goal scorer in Union history behind Sebastian Letou and Paniel
That's
Pazdag.
crazy.
Isn't that mad?
Yeah.
Sebastian Letou and Paniel Pazdag, and then it's Julian Carranza in like 4 seasons. That's pretty neat. Let's talk about impact. How is this move going to impact the Philadelphia Union?
I mean, this is a team that's already struggling as is, and losing Carranza is going to hurt for sure. I think it's a team that I would never bet against them finding the next guy in their youth academy. And I also think it's a team that wouldn't be afraid to go look and spend some money to bring someone in to replace him. But they're certainly going to be hurting in the short term from it. Is this also this is a free transfer? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, we're gonna chat about that in a second.
Okay, so I won't touch too much on that, but yeah, I mean, from an impact, like from a team perspective, in terms of just like what you get on the field every day, yeah, I mean, it's gonna hurt. The dude is a model of consistency for scoring for them. He's not like Josef Zlatan level explosive striker that's gonna get you 20 to 30 goals a year, but you know you're getting like 12 to 15 goals every season from this guy, which is you absolutely take that up top, especially when you're in a two striker system and he's not the sole guy up top contributing to all the goals and assists. So getting 12 to 15 just goals, by the way, not even goal contributions. I mean, he's gotten like 20 and 19 goal contributions at a minimum in the last 2 seasons, just during the regular season. So he has so much impact in that build up and in the attack and in the final third. And it's going to be sorely missed. I think Philly's looking at a really tough situation going forward.
Yeah, listen, and we kind of alluded to it before, right? This hurts a lot more than Braha's move. You know, they, as you were just alluding to, they relied really, really heavily on him for their limited success this year. You know, when Ure either played off of him or opposite him in rotation, they were really good 1-2 pair, right? Usually what would happen is I would pick Carranza in my fantasy team and Ure would get a hat trick. So then I'd pick Ure the next week and then boom, Carranza gets a hat trick the next week. So they worked really well off of each other, usually at the demise of my fantasy team. But in general, just his play is going to be hard to replace. He was really good in hold up. He was good getting behind the lines. He had good ability on the ball. And that's not just something you can just buy and instantly it clicks because there's the chemistry he had with some of the players around him, the Paz Dogs and even Ure when they played next to each other and McGlynn and all these other players. That takes time to rebuild, right? So it leaves them up top. And again, not just, you know, losing his technical ability, but what it leaves them with, right? It leaves them with Ure, who just got hurt relatively long term, I think 4 to 6 weeks. Ty Barabo, who's kind of coming into form, but just picked up a knock and could be set back a little bit. And then 23-year-old Chris Donovan, who has 2 MLS goals in 700 minutes in like 3 years. They do need to go. I think they need to go out and find somebody with a bit more experience and success, in my opinion. But again, the loss doesn't hurt them just because of what Carranza takes with him, but also what they're left with, right? It's not like it's not like he left and Chicho Arango was sitting on the bench ready to just light the world on fire. So they're in a little bit of a tough spot there as well.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I would
Um,
agree that I think they need to go get somebody proven to substitute in because I don't think there's anybody quite ready yet through the pipeline.
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. You had Chris Donovan was one of the guys you were excited for, and he kind of really hasn't panned out just yet. Still time, but listen here. The big part about this is, according to my research, and again, I could be wrong, but there hasn't been anything discrediting this information. He left on a free, right? He left, and you got nothing out of him. This dude is a best 11 player pretty much every year that Messi isn't in the league, right? He lit the league on fire for 4 years. I'll ask you first. What are your thoughts? Give me your thoughts on that movie.
I mean, yeah, that's obviously a huge missed opportunity for Philly to cash in there, and we know Philly's good at cashing in. They've done it on all their youth player or a lot of their youth players with Brendan Aronson, Mark McKenzie, But yeah, they definitely missed an opportunity here to cash in on someone who's played very, very well for them. And now he's going to walk for free. And they kind of have to make things work to bring somebody else, bring somebody new in. At least, you know, kind of building off of what I was just saying, they should hopefully have some money saved up from these youth sales from Brendan Aronson and Mark McKenzie's sale that you should have money to reinvest and bring in another striker. I do believe I was just checking their roster. I do believe they have a designated player spot open, so you could bring in a designated player striker. So if you've got that money still from the youth player sales, invest it. So they're not in a situation where they're like screwed, like, oh man, they really should have gotten this money because they needed to reinvest it. I think they still have money to reinvest. I mean, hopefully, but yeah, I mean, it's a big missed opportunity because they could have got at least a couple million for him, considering what guys are going for in this upcoming or this current summer transfer window.
Yeah, and transfer market just a tool and never an end all be all. But valued at 6 million, scoring year after year, really lighting it up recently too. It's always about recent stuff. And he had a desire to leave as soon as he did, right? And I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. He had a desire to leave sooner than he did. I remember a couple months back that he was um, asking to be moved on, and the Union literally fumbled the bag in getting him offloaded, and now they are going without any money coming in for him. Which, when you come in and you have the year that you did, and you don't have, I don't want to phrase this, you have your own players, your leadership of your team out in the media making comments like, we need to go out and buy players. We need to go out. We can't just rely on the youth, the youth, the youth. And you've got this guy who you probably could have gone for a good couple million, like you mentioned, and you just let him walk for free. That's really tough. Right. And what hurts is, again, the new rules coming into place. That sort of money really could have been useful in reinvestment into the squad. And this squad desperately needed. Philly joint last in the East right now, winless in 8. Well, actually, now that the Red Bulls just tied them, they haven't lost 5 in a row anymore. They are winless in 9. They before the Red Bull game, they conceded 3 goals in 15 minutes to Chicago to lose 4-3 for their 5th loss in a row before the Red Bulls. They need money to reinvest in this squad intelligently, and I feel like they just missed an opportunity. And I think everybody else can agree with that.
Yep.
All right, so do you see them replacing him? Do they roll with what they've got? How do you replace somebody like this? Give me your thoughts.
I think with the current playoff structure you have in place, you gotta go and replace him because everybody outside of probably San Jose still has a shot at getting into the playoffs and really are not far out. So like as bad as Philly's been so far, they are 3 points outside of the playing game. So go get yourself a striker, get him into the team, work things out. Maybe he's the spark that this team needs to get back on pace to where Philly normally is, because it's not like it had this huge turnover in the team and all of a sudden, like, that's what's causing them to play poorly. I mean, they were slow to start last year and they still worked it back and finished in a very respectable 4th place in the Eastern Conference. So it's not impossible for them to turn things around here, but they're not going to be able to do that unless they bring in a replacement for Carranza. If they don't, it's going to be a huge uphill battle for this team to get into the playoffs. As many teams as they get in, I still think it'll be tough for them to get in without a Carranza replacement. Who they bring in, I don't exactly know, but I think they got to go for somebody. You're still in the hunt. Go give the team some hope. Go give the fans some hope, and go for it. Don't just quit on the season because Carranza left.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of not on board there. I don't think that they're actually going to try and replace him at all. Not this off season. I think they're just going to shift it onto Ure. Well, I think the original plan was they were going to shift it onto Ure, Barabo is number 2, and see what happens next season. Now, with his injury and Barabo kind of being there, kind of not, I think he can still step up to the plate. I mean, he looked good in his first start that he was given this year. And with players around him, he looked all right. this is just a bad year for Philly, right? But as you just mentioned, they're only 4 points out of the playoff spot. They have Leagues Cup to either find chemistry and regroup, or once they bow out, to rest up for a couple weeks and really work on tactics and how they want to play the game. Now, I have to change this last statement here because I prepped this episode before yesterday's news came out. But I had a note in there that said, "Man, if something doesn't happen where you either are making big changes up front or a player isn't stepping up, you might see some big changes in the Philly ranks." But it seems like Jim Curtin is safer than a bank safe, as they say. So interesting. I don't think that's the wrong decision, by the way. I guess we can kind of hit on that before we call it a day, but I don't think that's the wrong decision. I think he's earned one bad year, right? This isn't him coming in and doing this for the third year in a row. This isn't him coming in and, oh, the players lost faith in him, whatever. I think it's just they've been dealt a tough hand of cards. They've made some decisions. I think he earns one off season to get it right. Thoughts?
Oh no, yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, look how much of a leash guys like Peter Vermees have had. I mean, he's consistently had bad years, and he's still there, and they won't get rid of him. So yeah, I mean, it would be crazy for them to move on from Curtin this fast. When like you and I were saying, they're like 3 or 4 points out of the playoffs. No reason to do that. That would be insane. As much as I'd like it as an Atlanta fan, because I would 100% want Atlanta to make a run at Curtin if he got let go. But I don't know. There's no logical world where he gets let go. If he does, that's a super dumb move from them, and hopefully another team capitalizes on that quickly. But yeah, absolutely keep him on. There's still plenty of talent in this roster. They'll figure things out eventually. Even New England's starting to figure things out. So
Oh yeah.
just give it some time.
Well, and as you mentioned, right, this season isn't over for them. They get hot, they go on a run of 3-4 games, and they slide in, right?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. So definitely not over for Philly yet. But if it does end poorly, it's not the end of the world. I do think Jim Curtin has earned that, and the only reason you don't see him do that is because he's going to the national team as an assistant coach. Because I think that's that was rumors last year, and I think with everything happening, it may be real deal here. So